Hi, I'm Rachel Moery, and this is Rachel Moery's Mortgage Moment. Today I have Leeron Liftik with me of Sound Method Modifications, and we're going to speak today about easing the minds of people facing foreclosures. So, Leeron.
Yes.
How does that work? How do you speak with people coming into your office? How do you ease their minds?
Well, a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and no. Really what I try to do is give people information. What I find the biggest contribution towards stress is responsibility without authority. And so when the way that shows up in mortgage is they're responsible for their mortgage payment, they're responsible for keeping a roof over their heads, they're responsible for giving their children or their family or whatever responsibilities are associated with paying your mortgage exist, and they don't feel as though they have the authority with which to do that because there's some type of financial constraint such that they no longer have that authority, and or they're not getting the definition from the lender that they need in order to get the authority from the lender. So in other words, they experience the stress because they have the responsibility of accommodating what the lender wants, and they don't have the authority to influence what it is that the lender wants or how they can accommodate that. So that just creates this bridge of, I'm responsible for this and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just a reed blowing in the wind of foreclosure, and I'm going to end up where I end up, and it's totally out of my control. Woe is me. This is so unfair, and there's just nothing I can do about it. So that's kind of how it shows up initially. Okay.
So they go into Sound Methods, and they're looking for a solution.
Yeah, they're looking for
So
relief.
what kind of solutions can you provide for them?
Not the kind they think they should see. That's the first thing. So the first solution I can provide for them, and this kind of goes back to your question about the stress, is creating some authority around that responsibility. So many times people choose to put the authority into the hands of the lender, or into the hands of the job academy, or into the hands of their employer who's supposed to give them a raise, or into the hands of fate, perhaps, insofar as I know I'm going to get this job, or I know something's going to click, or I'm going to sell this house, if you're a real estate agent waiting for a commission, for instance. It's my suggestion and my counsel to offer that people are choosing that. People are choosing to give the authority to the lender. And they go, well, what else am I supposed to do? And my answer is there's other things. And they say, what? And I say, look. And really what there is to say, look at what doesn't work. And maybe it sounds something like this. I totally deserve a modification. Reasons, reasons, reasons. I've applied. I've done everything my lenders asked me to do. I'm a good person, right? I've always been responsible. This is the first time ever. These are all the contexts, right? And then where it's left is I need the authority of the lender to grant me the solution that I'm committed to, that I'm sure is the only one that'll work, and they just won't give it to me. So I create the suggestion of saying, when they come to me, what's not working about this? Well, what's not working is that I've been working on this for 5 months, and they said it would be done a month ago. Okay, what else? And they go through and identify all those things, and then piece by piece we address each one of the things that isn't working and show them a way that they can take the authority they're granting to somebody else that they're not getting the result from back into their court. And that's why I say it doesn't look like you think it should look, because many times, for instance, let's talk about that. Somebody who has no sustainability in affording their home. Okay, so somebody whose hardship is so severe that they can't recover from it in a time frame that will either prevent foreclosure or within a time frame that will provide sustainability. Like, hey, I can get the money back to where it is. The payment's always going to be $2,500 a month. That ain't changing. You may even get a mortgage modification down to $1,700 or $1,500. And that's the absolute lowest it can go. And they might be going, well, I only make $1,700 now, but at least I could pay that $1,500 and keep my home. And depending on the circumstance, let's say you're on fixed income, for instance. You don't have any possibility of increasing your income. You're 72 years old in this situation. You're not about to go get a job. Under those circumstances, the counsel might sound like, hey, you're giving all this authority to the bank who's not doing what you want, and you do make good money. You make $1,700 a month. And for people in your age bracket in your community, you can easily go get a wonderful home for about $600 to $650 a month. And they go, well, what are you talking about? And, oh, well, you must be talking about renting. And gosh, I can't rent. I could never do that. I'd assume I would die shortly after signing the lease. You know, they really believe that it's, this one woman said something like, I said, well, what if you can't afford your house? Trying to get her to face the reality that, in my opinion, she just couldn't. It was like, okay, this is not affordable. What are you going to do? She said, I'm going to probably have to go find an apartment to rent, and then I guess it's just like a slow downhill road to the grave. So she really had this opinion that moving into an apartment or moving into another house that you rent, just by virtue of being a renter versus a homeowner, that the next step after going from homeowner to renter is death. And literally, that's kind of the piece that she's coming from. So, for instance, that person might have counsel that sounds like, you can't afford your house. Stop trying. You're spending all of your money. You've depleted your savings. You're taking your parents, friends, and neighbors' money to help you, when all the while they're really contributing towards a bucket that has a hole in it because there's no sustainability, there's no end to this. You don't have a plan. So it's my suggestion that those things are irresponsible to take money from your friends and family when you don't know that you can fully recover, fully pay them back. So let's start enrolling you in. There's another client who can't wait to get rid of this house, but he doesn't know anyone who can rent it for $1,200 a month, and it's this beautiful $700,000 property on the lake. And they go, huh, really, what? I never considered that before. So that's the type of counsel that exists that oftentimes kind of hits people right in the eyes. They go, what? No, I'm not going to lose my house. That's never going to happen. It's either going to happen or it's not. You just get to choose around it. And your choices will dictate whether or not you win or you lose. So make choices that win.
And at those choices, I wanted to move into the feelings that people have and the feelings that you provide and the people have in facing foreclosure when they do speak with you. And you kind of spoke with that in terms of the woman in the apartment and the feeling of death and what have you. So let's talk about positive outcomes and positive feelings.
Great.
Since you did have a negative example.
Sure. Let's get back to that after the break.